Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. It's never been a better time to build a gaming PC than right now in May of 2023. Forget everything about overpriced GPU launches like the RTX 4070. The reality is that PC parts and PC components have never been cheaper. They have never been cheaper. So right now, we're going to go through three amazing builds. 1440p at just $570. A super high FPS 1440p gaming build or 4K gaming build for just $1,280, and an insane 1440p or 4K gaming monster at $2,180. We'll also include my best gaming monitor picks for each build for May 2023. Remember, if you get value out of the video, give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe. Click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Ugreen and their amazing chargers and docking station. The Nexode 65 and 100 watt chargers offer a USB-A port and multiple USB-C ports capable of charging multiple phones, tablets, even most laptops. Take your iPhone to over 60% in just 30 minutes. Or go pro with their 9-in-1 USB-C docking station, connecting your laptop to multiple monitors using USB-C, HDMI, or DisplayPort, 10 gigabit wired Ethernet, multiple USB devices, and keep charging with up to 100 watts of power. If you need high quality, affordable charging for multiple devices or an amazing laptop docking station, you need to check out Ugreen's lineup using the links in the video description below. Let's jump into that $570 1440p gaming PC build. And you must be like, Jason, I heard the GPUs are insanely expensive. PC gaming is off the charts and expensive. I don't understand how we're playing games at 1440p in 2023 at good frame rates. What kind of witchcraft are you using over there? We're using an amazing and insane value GPU. And actually we have two different options, not just one. Let's jump into the first one, which is the Intel Arc A750. See, Jason, I thought the Intel Arc A750 was having some problems. Well, we got some good news. There were some leaks about TSMC. In fact, processing orders for Battlemage and Celestial feel much better about the future of the Intel Arc graphics division than I did just a week or two ago. Right now, you can pick up one for about $249. And it actually comes with a pretty good little game bundle. Alternatively, we can of course go with the RX 6650 XT 8GB version, $259. And again, you say, well, okay, what performance level are we getting? I bet you we're getting terrible performance at terrible settings. Oh, let's check that out. Look at that. This is from the Techspot retest of the new Arc drivers that came out earlier this year. You can see they tested the Arc A770. The A750, by the way, is only about 5% slower. So it comes in where the RX 6650 XT is at about 84 FPS. 84 FPS in a 12 game benchmark. I'll leave the link to this in the video description. If there's a particular game that you're super focused in on, I'd just double check in the benchmarks and see which card's gonna work better for you. But as we can see, 84 FPS at high to ultra settings, that's pretty insane. But what about the rest of the build? How do we get to the $572.75 as the prices update right now? You actually have a couple of different options depending on what's available in your region. Right now, given availability, the Ryzen 5 5500, remember this is a 5600G without the integrated graphics. It's not as fast as a 5600, but it is plenty fast for gaming, especially with a GPU like the Arc A750 or RX 6650 XT, selling right now for $97 over at Newegg or Amazon. Take your pick. And remember, it also comes with included Ray Stealth cooler, so we don't have to buy a cooler for it. Only has PCIe Gen 3, which is perfectly fine for those GPUs, but it also means that we can get cheaper B450 motherboards and use them. And the motherboard that really kind of makes this go, because a lot of these motherboards are coming with older BIOSes, you really do want to get one with BIOS flashback, the Asus Prime B450M-A2 micro ATX motherboard. This is a great entry-level motherboard. It's got a little VRM heatsink on it, and it has BIOS flashback, plenty of rear panel I/O for this thing. And again, $79 right now over at Newegg. For the RAM, we're going for just simple DDR4 3200 CL16. We're going to get 16 gigabytes in it, 2 sticks, 2 8GB sticks. I mean, look at that insane price over at Amazon for this stuff, $30.97. And if you want RGB and you want to spend another, I think it's like 10 or 11 bucks, you can get the RGB kit that we've used in a number of our builds. It looks super, super slick and super compatible with just about everything. For the storage, you can really just kind of pick your poison, but storage continues to fall in price. Like literally every time I look at it right now, for 500 gigabytes, you can get that for $26. And if you want a terabyte, it's only about $40 to $41. If you want to spend another $15 on it, go right ahead. And remember, there's really no advantage going any faster than PCIe Gen 3 with this because that's as fast as the CPU goes. And PCIe Gen 3 NVMEs are still way faster than hard drives, and they're still way faster than SATA SSDs. Games right now don't even take advantage of SATA SSDs, let alone faster drives like this. For the case, you have just a bunch of different options. I decided to go with an ultra budget case that I used to recommend all the time. Kind of went out of stock for a long time and now it's back in, and that is the DIY PC F2. I believe it's a SIT case in the UK, but it's basically got an included fan here with mesh and an included fan here. That's really all you need. This is a case that looks kind of nice. There's also a white version, but for $44 right now, $44, it's a pretty insane value. For the power supply, we finally gotten a unit that's C-tier rated or better. That's kind of cracked that $50 price point in the US. For whatever reason, PSUs have been more expensive than they have been in the last 2 years, but we've got the BIT Phoenix Formula Bronze. The great thing about this build, we don't actually need 600 watts. We're just getting it because it's available and it's the cheapest right now. Why spend more for less wattage? We could probably get away on this build for about 550 watts. So there it is, all told $572.75 if you want insane price to performance. Let's just quickly jump into an alternative build because I know some folks are not gonna wanna get a PCIe Gen 3 CPU. The good news is for only about $20, $25 more, you can go with something like the i3-13100F, which is down to an insane $99 right now. You can pick this up over at Best Buy. It was at Amazon the other day for $99 as well. Massive price cuts on the CPU. It's not really Raptor Lake. It's really a rebadged i3-12100F that can clock higher. So that's what they did with it. So that it's got slightly higher boost frequency to it. You're only going to get about another 2% over an i3-12100F. You can also pick that up for about $95 right now if you don't want to go with a 13100F, because you probably will need to get a B660 motherboard if you want to get that value, and you'll need to get one with BIOS flashback. The Gigabyte B660M DS3H AX, which means it has Wi-Fi 6 on it, is a great board, and the Gigabyte B660s have BIOS flashback on them. At least most of them do. A lot of the other B660s do not. So just make sure if you pick one up, you pick a correct one up. You can't always go B760, of course, which is the new chipset with really no other features. It's going to come with an updated BIOS to it. $20 to $30 more expensive for the same feature set. I would recommend a board like this. This is what we used in our i3-12100F build. Absolutely great. Now, overall, if you do switch to the Intel platform with something like the Arc A750, you'll probably find you pick up about 3 or 4% more performance. Not bad for about $20, $25. So whether you choose the Intel or the AMD option, and whether you go with the Arc or the RX 6650 XT, you would get insane levels of performance, 84 plus FPS in a 12 game benchmark at ultra or high settings. Pretty insane value right now. All right, my best gaming monitor recommendations for May of 2023. If you just need to get into 1080p gaming at the budget level, the Gigabyte G24F is a phenomenal value, just $149, totally insane. This is a relatively new entry onto the market, 165 hertz IPS flat 24-inch panel. If you just want to get into gaming, this is the one I would choose. If you do have just a little bit more money, or you're looking for that 240 hertz refresh rate and you don't want to spend $270 at that IPS panel, check out the Acer Nitro XZ270. This is a curved VA panel, but 240 hertz, 27-inch for just $179. That is a totally insane value. At 1440p gaming monitors, I know at the budget level, they have come up quite a bit. They were about $200 to $210. Now you're looking at $250 right now for the entry level, but I would still snap up the HP X27Q at $248, given its competition out there. This is a 165 hertz flat IPS panel. We rated this as our top budget pick. I know they switched out the panel. The panel is still very, very good on this. If it comes down, great, grab it. If it goes up to 300, then consider the next monitor. Because the one I'm super excited about is the Gigabyte M27Q-P or M27Q Pro, as they've kind of renamed it now, which has been out of stock, effectively out of stock since the beginning of the year, really since the holidays of last year. This is the monitor where they took the older M27Q and they basically fixed the subpixel layout on it to produce what is the best mid-range 1440p gaming monitor out there, 165 hertz. This is a 27-inch flat IPS panel. It's got the KVM gaming switches on it. It's back at $326. That's an insane value right now, given the cost of all the other 1440p monitors out there. I would snap this one up in a heartbeat. I would not let it sell out on me. Jumping in a $1,280 high FPS 1440p. So we're talking 100 plus FPS, all titles. You see, Jason, how do we do this? You need like a 4070 Ti or something. Yeah, how do you get that level of performance without paying 4070 Ti money? Because that's really the NVIDIA alternative here. You go with something like the ASRock RX 6950 XT, 16 gigabytes of VRAM on this thing, 16 gigabytes. VRAM huge in the news right now, $599. That's right, $599. And there's a number of other 6950 XT models right around that $600 price point. If you don't like ASRock for some reason, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this card. It's a great GPU. It's got some really tasteful RGB on it. Looks absolutely amazing. What kind of performance can we expect to get? Well, let's look at the Techspot recent 4070 review where they found the 6950 XT was way faster, up to 15% faster than the 4070 that's launching at, that's right, $600. We find two GPUs at the same price. One gets 15% more performance. Jason, what about ray tracing? I mean, look, if ray tracing is your ball of wax, then grab the 4070 instead, and we can do a totally different build. But I'm going with the 6950 XT. I'm going with higher performance at 4K. And here's the 1440p, higher performance at 1440p. If you want to check out the individual titles in this overall benchmark from Techspot, again, I'll leave it linked down in the video description. I always urge you to check those out. Make sure that the games that you are really focused on playing, that this is going to give you the best performance. So that's our GPU for $600. Now the question becomes, what best CPU value can we pair this with to get the most performance we can out of the 6950 XT without breaking the bank, without overspending and costing us money on our GPU? Right now, the Ryzen 7600, hands down, has no equal. $218 basically, either at Newegg or Amazon right now. It does come with an included box cooler, but honestly, a build of this cost, we're gonna spend a little bit more money and get a better cooler because we wanna turn on Precision Boost Overdrive for this to get the most out of our 6950 XT. And we are buying into a platform in the AM5 socket that's going to give us future upgradability. We'll be able to drop in a future CPU. We could even drop in a 7800X3D or 8800X3D or a 9800X3D in a couple of years when they come out. Again, we are going to upgrade the cooler. You can go more cooling if you want. There's really not that big a reason, especially if you're just gaming, for something more than like the Thermalright Assassin X. Now I'm going with a white theme in this build, a white RGB theme. It's actually not going to cost us much money at all because this cooler is only $21. $21 for this cooler. And look, it's a fantastic cooler. We can go up to something like the Peerless Assassin 120 for about $40 if you just decide you want a lot more cooler. You can also go with an ARGB white all-in-one liquid cooler, a 240 millimeter. But again, we're talking now spending quite a bit more money and we're trying to keep this as price efficient as possible. $21, this is really all we need. For the motherboard, as I've said before, there's a deep chasm between the motherboards for the AM5 socket. On the one hand, you've got great budget motherboards like the ASRock B650M HDV2, great VRMs on it. It's got plenty of rear panel connectivity to it. Overall, just a fantastic board. Good VRM heat sinks on it. It's got a Type-C, has BIOS flashback for future upgrades or whatever else you want to do with it. It's only got 2 DIMM slots, but that's all we're ever really going to need because you'll see the RAM kit in just a second. There's no reason to ever even think about upgrading the RAM on this particular board for $119. But we do get entry-level audio. The big problem I have with the Ryzen 7000 motherboards, if you want to jump up to something with improved audio, you are going to spend $230 plus. Don't do that. Go out and get yourself a digital to analog converter, a DAC, an external DAC, where you're going to plug in your headset and that plugs into like a USB or an HDMI on your PC instead. That's going to be a much better solution, I think. For the RAM, DDR5 RAM has gotten stupidly cheap right now. Look at this RAM kit. We've got a DDR5 5600 CL32, relatively fast, 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM down to less than $100. How is that even possible? This kit, when it launched just a couple months ago, launched at $140. It's already down to $100. You see that across the board with DDR5 right now. The bottom is falling out of the DDR5 market. Finally, DDR4 is still more price efficient if you wanted to get a 5800X 3D. But again, we want to get something that's got future upgradability to it. I know some people say, well, what about Expo versus XMP? As we found, all the boards will use Expo timings as well as XMP. And what we found is 5600, especially for the B650s, is probably a little bit better to get than 6000 speed memory just for compatibility issues. We're just gonna grab a 1TB M.2 NVMe Gen 3 drive. Again, this is a DRAM-less drive, everything that you need for gaming. Unless you're doing like heavy file writes, big video editing, and you're moving files all over the place, I would just go with something like this. Just find the cheapest one. This Silicon Power A60, MP33. There's a number of these cheap budget drives that are really going to do you well. The case, I went with the Antec NX410. That is a really slick case. I really like this case from Antec. I like the handle here. I kind of just like everything about this case. All the feedback I've seen on this case is it's super nice, and people really love the price efficiency of it for just $80. For the power supply, 750 watts is all we need for this build. I went with a Corsair RM750E over at Amazon right now for $99. This is a great modular unit. There's not really a ton to say about it other than fantastic price right now. It's good to see some of these more A tier and B tier rated PSUs come down in price. So all told, for $1,278, we've got a monster gaming build capable of high frame rates, either at 4K or super high frame rates at 1440p. It's all white, it's ARGB, it's gonna look super slick. You are gonna feel so proud of this thing. The one thing I might add to this, you can, of course, for another $25 to $35, get white cable extensions. We've often done that. We did that in our 7800X 3D build. If you wanna throw that in, round that out to about $1,300. This build is going to give you absolutely amazing performance. Let's jump through some great monitors. Let's do super high refresh rate at 1440p. Right now, I would look at the Samsung Odyssey G65B. You're like, what is that, Jason? It's the Odyssey G6. It's basically the 2023 replacement for the 2020 1440p Odyssey G7, which used to call the best gaming monitor hands down. So same panel, same 240 hertz curved VA panel with amazing contrast to it, 1440p. The 27-inch version is only $499. This is the panel that I would pick up right now if you want 1440p, super high refresh rate, and you don't want to jump up to those super expensive OLED monitors that have just come down the pike for about $1,000+. At 4K, the first monitor I would check out, there's two of them, Acer Predator XB283K, great panel, $549, 144 hertz, 27-inch, and HDMI 2.1 with the full bandwidth. That's great for console. It's great for PC. $549. This is kind of the entry level right now for 4K gaming, and it's a good one. Also, just go ahead and click that link down in the video description for the Gigabyte M28U. Right now, it's selling for $40 more, and I wouldn't buy it for $40 more, quite honestly. I would buy the Predator instead. But if this one turns out to be cheaper, and the prices do fluctuate between these two, I would just grab whichever one's cheaper. Unless I have a console, then I would definitely get the Predator. If you are looking for OLED, especially big screen OLED, right now, the Aorus FO48U OLED 120 hertz refresh rate is on sale. Now, this is a 48-inch monitor, so you gotta have desk space for it. This is really kind of big gaming room kind of thing, or put it all on the wall. I actually raid in World of Warcraft on a 65-inch LG C1 OLED, and I absolutely love it. You gotta try it out. It's a lot of fun. This is a great panel, though, for only $800. Let's jump into that $2,180 1440p or 4K gaming monster. Now, I get a lot of requests for builds between $1,800 and $2,300. And when we did our 7800X 3D Ultimate Gaming PC, that was super duper premiumed out with super premium stuff. Probably gamers don't even need. That was about $2,800. So I wanted to do something this month that kind of brought that performance level down to a lower price point, but still kept it somewhat premium. I think you're really gonna like this build. We're gonna go with the 7900 XTX. Let's take a look at these right now. You can get one for $960 over at Newegg, you can get the ASRock one. If you want the cool RGB, or if you want to like vertically mount it, $994 for the Power Color Hellhound. There's one for $989 if you want the XFX Speedster one. These are custom coolers. These are not the stock coolers on the reference edition. You can still get those. For some reason they cost more money. I don't understand why. They're not as good. They're a little bit more compact. Maybe if you want to do a small form factor build, of course. If you just want to push performance, these are the coolers to get. And you can do some overclocking, which we did in our 7800X3D gaming PC. In terms of overall performance, same chart. We're just looking at the top now. Look at that. Radeon RX 7900 XTX at 4K, 112 FPS, 93 on the 1% lows. And this includes games in the benchmark that have ray tracing turned on by default. You turn off that ray tracing, it'd be even higher. That just goes to show you the ray tracing performance on the 7000 series. It's no slouch whatsoever. Obviously, if you're super into ray tracing, go NVIDIA. But unfortunately, you're going to end up buying something like the RTX 4080, getting slightly less performance, but you will get better overall ray tracing performance. You will, however, pay about $200 more. If you're looking for way more frames, but you're looking for 1440p, look at that. 183 average FPS. That's insane. A lot of these games aren't designed to be super high FPS games. So if you're playing something like League of Legends, or you're playing Fortnite, or you're playing games that are easy to run like Overwatch 2, where you just want to get tons of frames, CSGO, you're just going to get tons and tons of frames. And I would look to buy a 240 hertz 1440p gaming monitor to go with this. We'll go over some gaming monitors in just a bit. For the rest of the build, I really wanted to kind of keep that premium feel while making sure we still emphasize value. So I went with the Ryzen 7800X3D here. An argument certainly could be made that you could go with the 7700 and, you know, save $120, put it into something else. I'm completely open to that argument, but I will say $120 is not going to let us jump up a GPU tier at this point. So I figured let's go ahead and grab the 7800X3D. Great CPU. Really, AMD's done a great job about bringing this level of performance kind of down to the $400-ish tier for CPUs, and up out of that kind of stratosphere, $700 to $600 instead. For the cooler, I just went with the Vetru V240 this time. We went with the 360 last time. I felt like it was total overkill. The CPU never got above 80 degrees, even when I had under full load in Cinebench R23 under a stress test. So I just felt like I definitely didn't need that much cooling. Could go with an air cooler, could have saved another, $40 or $50 here. Decided not to. I just want to keep the build just feeling really super premium all the way around, and I really do love AIOs for that. Kind of really shows off the rest of the build. For the motherboard, we have a lot of different options. I know I just gave you a whole spiel about don't buy the more expensive motherboards, go ahead and get a DAC. But at this point, we're already spending about $2,000 on the system. Another $100 or so on the motherboard isn't going to kill us, especially given the fact that we are going to be able to have drop-in upgrades in the future. So I don't mind spending a little bit more on a premium motherboard to get some of the higher end features, including the upgraded audio. I decided to go with the Tough Gaming B650 plus Wi-Fi. Great board, $249. There's a lot of boards that we could pick at this price level. There's the Gigabyte Pro AX as well, the Aorus Pro AX. I decided to go for this one just because it's right now the cheapest that provides upgraded audio, and it's got a great feature set. For the RAM, you might recognize this is the same RAM kit we just used for the last build, $100, but I went with the black and RGB one here instead, just to match the rest of the build. We did find, however, remember in our 7800X3D testing, check out that video, I'll link it down in the description. We tested a lot of RAM. We found that this CPU just did not really care what the RAM speed is. We could definitely save a little bit of money here, 20 or maybe even $30 by going with a slower RAM kit. We could go 16 gigs instead of 32 gigs. For the drive, I just went with something with DRAM that's just gonna help us a little bit if we do have kind of big writes. And I went with 2 terabytes here for only $95. Storage is so cheap. Silicon Power A80. Again, you can kind of take your pick of the litter here. There's the Kingston NV2 out there if you want Gen 4. That's a DRAM-less, but there's a lot of really, really good drives for between that kind of $80 to $100 price point, depending on what you're looking for. For the case, I really like the Lian LandCool 216 in our last build, and it's on sale right now for $109. Then the all-white one is on sale for $99 if you want. Remember, links for everything are going to be down in the video description. This was a great case to build in. I was so impressed. This was a fantastic case. I will strongly recommend this to anybody out there for $110. For the power supply, yeah, we know Gigabyte's had its failings in terms of the PSUs. However, their UD series is a higher kind of higher end product line. These are really good power supplies. I believe they're B tier rated. So we went with the UD 1000 GM for just $140. That is totally insane. This is a fully modular unit. This is a really, really good unit, and it's not going to break the bank. All told, $2,182. This is going to give you insane levels of performance at 1440p. Remember, 183 FPS, all titles at high settings. That's really, really crazy, and going to give you amazing performance at 4K as well. You're looking at one of the fastest gaming PCs on the planet. Let's talk about those premium 1440p 240 hertz OLED monitors, and let's also talk about some 240 hertz 4K monitors as well. The one that everyone honestly wants to get their hands on right now is the ASUS 27-inch 240 hertz 1440p OLED monitor PG27AQDM. It's always a mouthful, but completely sold out everywhere. This is the one that I would really have my eye on, but if history is any kind of judge of where this is going to go, typically these high-end ASUS monitors sell out and they do not come back into stock for 6-7 months at a time. But what are your alternatives? Well, I think a really great alternative is the recently price-reduced Alienware 1440p OLED Ultrawide, the AW3423DWF. Now, this is not 240 hertz, it's 165 hertz, but honestly, you're also pushing ultrawide, so you are going to need that more powerful graphics card that the 7900 XTX really delivers. This is going to be a great alternative, and I think for $999, for the same price point, you are getting one heck of a gaming monitor. Remember, OLED is going to give you that infinite contrast, it's going to give you amazing HDR. This is a great pickup. If you're looking for 4K 240 hertz OLED, it's not here just yet. But if you're looking for 4K 240 hertz amazing gaming monitor, the Samsung Odyssey Neo G8. Now the price, you might swallow pretty hard. $1,499. I've seen this as low as about $1,300, but still, this is about the price for it. And this is a curved VA panel. This is 32-inch. This is an amazing gaming monitor, quite honestly. If you're looking for super high performance at 4K, this is the one that I would definitely check out first. Remember, if you got value out of the video, please give it a like. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And of course, subscribe. Click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. Speaking of cool content, are you aware that every month we go through the best CPU and GPU for gaming based on its price to performance? I'm going to leave both videos right here for this month. Check them out, see what we thought about every CPU and GPU on the market, and we'll catch you on the next one.